So here we are again in Arttown, Montana. We had a lot of fun last time in the last episode, Building an Art Shop, Part 1, where I talked about moving this old log garage into place, stacking rocks. So this second part, we'll talk about building everything from the stonework up and connecting these buildings. I'm going to take you back to December of 2019 when I began this phase of the work.
So of course the wall's done. I put some of this sill insulation down, and using a contraption that my neighbor made right here, I'll show you later. See, it's hooked onto my saw there. I'm making beams now. It's pretty tedious. Right here's a corner post, and this is my sill beam, I guess. See if I can put it on there without breaking my back. I might have to go get my neighbor. What I'm gonna do is, at least this is what I think I'm gonna do. So I have these bolts, L bolts stuck in the concrete there. I'm gonna set the beam on top of the bolts and whap it with a hammer so that I can see where the bolts are, and then I will drill holes in the beam and it should sit right over. It should be super easy, except that the bolts are probably a little different heights and I won't be able to do them all at once. And like any easy thing, it'll take me twice as long as I think it will.
So I'm just giving you an idea how fast it comes. This is a steel 310. If you had a bigger saw, it would go a little faster, but I don't think it's going to be super speedy no matter what you do. This arm's all screwed up now, so I'm going to have to try to start it left-handed.
Hi again. It's January 1st, 2020. The snow sifting down. Red Mountain looks a little bit fuzzy in the background there. But it's not too bad. It's probably about 32 degrees. It's a good day of work. I'll spin this video around and show you where I am. So yeah, I fit the first sill log on. I had to do a little cutting to get it to fit over the stones here, you know, like this one. I had to cut this a little bit. It's cool. I'm gonna have mortar's gonna come up to here. It's May 21st. It's a lovely day. It's like 60 degrees. I need a rough opening for a 3-foot door of 3 foot 2 inches. So all the beams I've cut are 6 inches thick. So the part of this beam that goes from this peg to here can only be 5 inches thick to give me the right rough opening. I might have miscalculated, or maybe I'm a genius and I thought it would look cooler if it notched over and came up. And here is the post that'll go down in there. You can see I've chiseled out an inch. I probably could have hooked up the jig and just sawed it maybe a little straighter and a little faster, but that wouldn't have nourished my soul like doing it this way. I felt more like a pioneer, you know, chiseling away on it. So that is the piece that we're going to stand up here in a second after I've drilled into the end to go over the rebar peg. I'm thinking about what to do here. This log here, well, first of all, this is a horrendous cut. I don't know what I was doing. This rock sticks up at the end and I was working around it. I got frustrated. I did a shitty job. But we will do something. Well, there will be a layer of chinking in here and it'll kind of come up there. And you know what? It won't be shitty, it'll be charming. Because that's the kind of stuff I do, is charming stuff. Don't ever let anybody tell you you're doing a shitty job. Just tell them that it's charming, not like they're stupid, angular, perfect, plumb and level and square shit they build. So here's the other thing. So this one is like 6.5 inches thick, while this one is 6 inches thick. So do I chisel this log down and make it 6'2", and then also this one, this is another 6.5er. I'm not sure why. I use the same jig. Why I got 6.5 versus 6. It's a mystery. A little bit of an angle on the saw, I guess. So I don't think I'm going to chisel it down. I think post is going to go here. Your eye won't be able to follow from this one to this side once all the walls are built, and even if it could, we don't care. You'll be like, ah, that's charming. He's building with logs, and logs aren't that straight. It is 9 p.m. on June 8th. Here's Red Mountain again. Sorry, I'm being obsessive, but it's very pretty. There's the schoolhouse, and here's where I am on putting new rafters, new eaves on my old log garage. That's where we are. I'm just gonna groove on that for a second and say good night. Okay, here we are in the middle of Let's Fix Brett's Mistakes Day. We had 2 panels in last night of the framing, and now we have 3 panels in as of this afternoon. It's ridiculous. The wind has been blowing like crazy, and it's been raining on and off, and I've been making mistakes. But let's just look at how it's coming along. I'm spiking these posts in. I'm being careful to make this 12-inch spike miss this other 12-inch spike. It's braced just to hold it till the spikes get in, then it doesn't really move. Let's look at our framing. So I think that's about right. You know, there's a header over the window, and really the walls won't support much. The posts hold most of the weight, but I do have it it's very tight. You can see the top, the post and the wall. The top log will probably push on that stud wall a bit. I like this here. It's a nice view out the window. It's pretty good. It'll be nice. A couple weeks into building here, you know, I took a week off work, and then I've just been kind of working a little after work, on the weekends a little bit when I can. It's coming along. That's kind of the whole thing with the hood of my truck in the way. I'm a little sad you can't see that top log unless you're standing under it, you know. There you can see that top log. I think it's gonna be really cool when the stucco goes in over the top of the plywood. There's my guy, shadow right across his face. I was worried they wouldn't get any chance to weather because, you know, I'd get the roof on so fast, but I was wrong. They've had a couple weeks to get a lot of rain and sunlight on them. This is a bit weird. I decided to keep this overhang the same as on the other side. So then it comes together very weirdly here. But I decided to stick with the weirdness rather than, you know, I thought about bringing this in so that it matched, but I didn't want to. Anyway, it's a beautiful day. It's the 5th of July. It's the birthday of my son who died 3 years ago. I christened this place just now with his ashes. I love this place more than any other place in the world. He kept coming home, and he wanted to help me build this shop. So I spread the ashes all around this shop to kind of, I don't know, for some good juju, I suppose. I like the beams and the stonework. When I put the mortar between the beams and the stonework, it'll really tie it in good. Let's look inside. Right here, I'm going to cut a hole. So I have the garage and the shop all as kind of one big workshop. I'm going to take a chainsaw in here. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm going to probably wreck a chain or two. Here's my lines. You can see. There's probably going to be spikes in there. Nails. I got to knock out the chinking. It's going to be a bit rough, but let's do it. Okay, I've knocked out the first log. I decided to screw in these boards along where I'm cutting just to make sure the logs are kind of held together. I'm not sure how they're spiked. We're gonna knock out some more chinking and keep sawing. We'll have a door here in another hour or two. It's July 26th. I'm moving along on my art shop. You can see I've stuccoed above the stonework between the beams. It's I used a rubber trowel to bring out the sand, so it's just this kind of rough surface. Probably amateurish, you know. It's not super regular. It's got some trowel marks in it. Some is coarser or rougher than others, but I think I'm okay with it. Hi, welcome back. It's August 31st. First taste of autumn. It's about 50 degrees. There's kind of a crispness in the air. Crispness. I came into some rough sawn Doug fir somebody gave me. So I completed the gable and the door. The door is not complete, actually. It's gonna have, do you see these beams across? I'm gonna cover up this, it's a Dutch door, so the top and bottom open separately, but I'm gonna run a board across to kind of hide that seam, and it'll continue the beams across. I think it'll be a nice aesthetic touch. There's my door on the inside. Maybe I'll put something between these Z's here in the winter if the wind's blowing through too bad and snow's coming through and I'm not staying warm enough. I kind of cut a hole in my rafters. I framed in a kind of a tall space in the middle so I can work on tall things, you know, totem poles or whatever. I can stand them up and go up the ladder and kind of work at them while they're standing up. I know that sounds silly. Why don't I just work on them laying down? And, you know, it's true. I could do that, but sometimes you just like to work at it standing up. Oh, this is kind of fun. So my beam was far from straight or level. You can see here my frame board's right against it. And then I had to put in a lot of shimming. It's about an inch difference top to bottom because I don't build things very straight. I'm all about the art and the carpentry eludes me. So I wish, just for looks, if nothing else, this doesn't really hold anything, but if it had been notched into this, it would look structural, it would look better. But I'm just gonna have to be okay with that. So anyways, I'm going to make a door stop out of that rough sawn. It'll go along here. And then I'll devise some weird trimmery that'll go over that.
It is September 7th of 2020. Snowing today. Yesterday was in the 80s and high fire danger, hazy, smoky. So it's welcome. The moisture is welcome anyway. I don't know why it couldn't have rained instead, but there you go. Life in the Rockies. Snow looks like it's hard to judge, but maybe 5 inches deep in the grass. Here's the Dutch door, now trimmed in. Looks all right, you know. As always, it's not perfectly square. It's a little rough. Hey, you know what? If it looked too straight, it would look wrong. So I've, wow, I did a shitty job right there. That's something. Anyway, I forgot to smooth that out apparently when I stuck my fingers in it. Put in some sanded gray caulking to match this stucco. Shall we look inside? Not much new. In the time that I built this door, you know, the engineers at SpaceX have made huge advances in their rocket design, but you know, if you're a little bit slower of a person like me, this causes some joy. So it's a Dutch door, swings open. How great is that? And then this lower part, you know, if you want. I really should, one of these times, develop a bit of a script instead of just muttering to myself. I mean, yeah, this is quite honest. It's very realistic, but, you know, kids these days, they expect a plot. They expect action. But, yeah, we're just going to watch it snow for a minute. If nothing else, I like to provide a feeling of calm. That's what I say to myself. I'm like, you know, Mr. Rogers for adults, but a lot less educational, more muttery, less kempt. This great rough wood has not been planed into submission. Rough edges and all, just perfect. Okay, let's look at it from a little bit of a distance. Yeah, how about that? It's wonderful. So we're gonna do the last one. I've got my boards on the outside. I'm going in, and what am I looking for? What am I looking for? A lot of guys forget where they left their tools. They spend a lot of time looking for tools, and it's a waste of time. But I take it one step further. I forget what tools I'm even looking for. It must be because my mind is so deep in thoughts of philosophical, you know, nature, super important ideas. I guess that must be the thing. So it is October 31st of 2020. It's Halloween. And I have completed the art shop. About a half hour ago, I put the last screw and the last piece of trim in the last window. It has been quite a journey, hasn't it? I hope you've enjoyed seeing how this comes together. Maybe you'll be inspired to waste your life as well. I can only hope. I don't know what to say. I know Kyle would be happy with this. He was pretty excited to help me build it. It's a bit bittersweet when I look at this piece of architecture and I think of my son. I sure miss that kid. But he has kept me inspired too. Well, I don't know how I feel about that episode. It was, you know, there was some fun and some work and some tragedy. It was a mix of light and heavy. brightness and darkness. It's how life is, though, isn't it? You know, it's not always sunny. It's day and night. I don't like to make life harder than it has to be, so I like to keep this thing lighthearted, silly, whatever. But just not this time. Next time, I promise we'll get back to just something fun and easy. This one, I'm just going to say goodnight in the dark. Everybody take care. Hang in there. And thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time. Bye.